The U.S. Army medic had treated shattered bones, burned skin, and men screaming in 3 languages. But nothing prepared him for the way the young woman spoke. She sat on the edge of the wooden bench, back straight, hands folded in her lap. No crying, no begging, no visible wounds. She looked barely 20. Her uniform, once neat, hung loosely now, faded and too large. A small white POW tag was pinned to her chest. German, female, captured weeks ago. The medic checked her chart again. No gunshot wounds, no fractures, no fever. "Why were you sent here?" he asked, expecting hunger, exhaustion, infection. She hesitated, then spoke softly, as if apologizing. "It hurts when I sit." The medic paused. "That's it?" he asked gently. She nodded once. "I can stand," she said. "I can walk. But sitting," her voice faltered. "It hurts." The medic pulled over a stool and knelt so they were eye to eye. "Where does it hurt?" he asked. She looked down at the floor. "Inside," she said quietly. The tent was busy, boots on gravel, stretchers moving, distant artillery echoing miles away, but for a moment, everything felt silent. The medic swallowed. "Did you fall?" he asked. She shook her head. "No." "Were you injured during transport?" Another shake. "No." Her hands tightened slightly in her lap. Then she whispered words that made his stomach drop. "It started before we were captured." The medic closed the chart. For the first time since arriving at the camp, he realized something was very wrong. And whatever it wasn't written anywhere on her paperwork. The medic lowered his voice. "Before you were captured, where were you?" She took a slow breath. "On the road," she said. "We were retreating. No trucks, no supplies." He nodded. That part was familiar. "And you were injured there?" he asked carefully. She shook her head again. "No injuries," she said. "Only time." The medic frowned. "Time?" She glanced toward the tent opening as if checking who might hear. "There were days," she said, "when sitting was forbidden." "Forbidden?" he repeated. She nodded once. "We were told it made us weak," she said. "So we stood, all day." The medic straightened. "How long?" he asked. She hesitated. "Sometimes 8 hours," she said. "Sometimes more." "No breaks?" he asked. She gave a small, tired smile. "We leaned on walls," she said, "or on each other." The medic felt a chill run through him. "And if someone sat?" he asked. Her eyes tightened, not with anger, but memory. "They didn't ask again," she said quietly. He didn't press further. He could already see it now. Not bruises or scars, but damage that came from being pushed past the limits of a human body. Damage that never made it into reports. Damage that didn't show until someone tried to sit down. The medic didn't reach for bandages. He reached for a notebook. "This pain," he said carefully, "does it get worse when you rest?" She nodded. "Yes," she said. "Standing hurts less." That answer settled something in his mind. He explained slowly, choosing words that wouldn't frighten her. "When the body is forced to stand too long," he said, "muscles stop protecting you. Blood flow changes. Pressure builds where it shouldn't." She listened, eyes fixed on his hands as he spoke. "It's not a wound," he continued. "It's stress, compression, damage from being held past endurance." She was quiet for a moment. "So I'm not weak?" she asked. The question caught him off guard. "No," he said immediately. "You're injured." Her shoulders dropped, not in relief, but release, as if someone had finally named something she'd been carrying alone. "I thought," she said softly, "that pain meant failure." He shook his head. "Pain means something happened," he said, "and someone ignored it." He wrote a single line on her chart. Restricted sitting tolerance. Extended standing trauma. It wasn't a diagnosis found in textbooks, but it was real, and for the first time since she'd spoken those words, "It hurts when I sit." She wasn't alone with them anymore. The medic looked at the line of stretchers outside the tent. Dozens of men waited, some bleeding, some unconscious. The schedule was clear. Treat fast, move on. He closed her chart anyway. "You won't be standing in line," he said. She looked up, confused. "But I can stand," she said quickly. "I don't want to cause trouble." He shook his head. "You've already stood enough," he said. He pulled a folded blanket from a crate and rolled it carefully. Not thick, not soft, but shaped to shift pressure away from where it hurt most. "This isn't standard," he admitted, "but neither is your injury." He adjusted the cot, raising one end slightly, lowering the other. "Sit only when you have to," he said, "and when you do, sit like this." She followed his instructions, slowly, cautiously. For a moment, nothing happened. Then she exhaled. It wasn't relief, it was less pain. Her eyes filled, not with tears, but disbelief. "You changed the weight," she said. "Yes," he replied. "Your body's been carrying too much of it in one place." A nurse stepped into the tent. "We need the cot," she said quietly. The medic didn't look up. "She stays," he said. It was the first order he'd given all day that didn't come from a chart, and it was the one that mattered most. The change in her posture didn't go unnoticed. Other medics passed the tent entrance and slowed their steps, not because she cried, but because she didn't. She sat still, carefully, as if every movement had to be negotiated with her own body. The medic watched from across the tent. He wanted to ask more. Who ordered it? How long did it last? Who else was there? But he didn't. Some questions, he knew, weren't medical, and answers to them couldn't be treated with bandages. Instead, he checked her pulse again, stronger than before. "You should rest," he said. She nodded. "I will," she replied, but not lying down. He raised an eyebrow. "When I lie down," she said quietly, "I remember standing." He understood then. The pain wasn't only where her body touched the cot, it followed her into stillness. As he turned away, she spoke again. "Medic?" He stopped. "You were the first person," she said, "who didn't tell me to endure it." He stood there for a moment longer than necessary. Outside, the camp went on as usual. Inside, something had already changed, but neither of them knew yet how far that change would reach. The medic returned near dusk. The tent was quieter now, fewer boots, softer voices. She was still there, sitting the way he had shown her, not comfortable, but no longer fighting her own body. He handed her a cup of water. "Any change?" he asked. She thought for a moment. "It still hurts," she said honestly, "but now it makes sense." He nodded. That night, he added a page to her file, not a complaint, not an accusation, just facts. Extended forced standing, delayed onset pain, non-visible trauma, requires modified rest. It was the first time those words appeared together. The next morning, another medic read the note and adjusted a cot for someone else, and another, and another. Weeks later, when transfers began, her file followed her. No medals, no apologies, no speeches, just a record that said, "This happened." Years after the war, the medic would struggle to remember faces, but he would always remember one sentence, not screamed, not cried, spoken calmly by someone finally allowed to sit. "It hurts when I sit." And because it was written down, it was no longer invisible.